The mystery of the ghost ship Mary Celeste, the ship that sailed without a crew. Imagine this. You're a sailor on a crisp December morning in 1872, scanning the endless blue horizon of the Atlantic Ocean. Suddenly, through your spyglass, you spot a ship drifting silently, its sails flapping weakly in the wind. No distress signal, no sign of life. Just eerie emptiness. You call out, no one answers. You climb aboard and find a meal still set on the table, a clock ticking, and the crew vanished into thin air. This was the Mary Celeste, one of the most baffling real-life mysteries in maritime history. A ship that left New York Harbor with a full crew and cargo, only to be found weeks later completely deserted in the middle of the ocean. What happened on that ship remains unsolved to this day. The beginning of the voyage. The Mary Celeste was a 103-foot brigantine built in Nova Scotia, Canada in 1861. She was a sturdy ship made for long voyages across the Atlantic. In November 1872, she set sail from New York Harbor under the command of Captain Benjamin Briggs, a respected sailor with over 20 years of experience at sea. On board were 7 crew members, the captain's wife, Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia. The ship's cargo? Nearly 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol, destined for Genoa, Italy. Everything was in perfect order when they departed. The weather, the supplies, the crew morale. It should have been a routine journey, but fate had other plans.
The Discovery. On December 4, 1872, the British ship Dei Gratia was sailing through the choppy waters between the Azores and Portugal when her crew spotted a vessel drifting aimlessly. It was the Mary Celeste. Captain David Morehouse of the Dei Gratia recognized her immediately. He was friends with Captain Briggs. But when his men hailed the ship, there was no response, so they sent a boarding party. When they climbed aboard, what they found sent shivers down their spines. The lifeboat was missing, but everything else seemed intact. Half-eaten food and a cup of coffee sat on the table. The captain's logbook was up to date, with the last entry made just 10 days earlier. The cargo was untouched, and the crew's belongings were still in their quarters. Even the ship's instruments and papers were still there, except for the navigation charts. It was as if everyone had just stepped outside for a moment and never came back. The theories began. News of the ghost ship spread like wildfire. The public and the press were captivated by the mystery. Dozens of theories emerged, some logical, others bizarre. Let's look at the most famous ones.
1. Mutiny. Some suggested that the crew had mutinied, killed Captain Briggs and his family, and fled in the lifeboat. But this theory quickly fell apart. There was no sign of violence, no blood, no struggle, and the crew's wages and belongings were untouched. Why would mutineers leave everything behind? 2. Pirate attack. Others believe the ship was attacked by pirates. But again, the cargo and valuables were untouched. Pirates don't leave loot behind. 3. A seaquake or waterspout. Some experts thought a seaquake, an underwater earthquake, or a waterspout, a tornado over water, might have caused the ship to lurch violently. That could have scared the crew into abandoning ship, thinking it was sinking. But the Mary Celeste was completely seaworthy when found. If they had stayed aboard, they would have survived. 4. Alcohol explosion. One of the most convincing theories involves the ship's cargo, industrial alcohol. Fumes from the barrels could have leaked, filling the hold with flammable vapor. If someone opened the hatch and lit a match or lantern, a small explosion or sudden flash fire could have terrified the crew into thinking the ship would blow up. They may have lowered the lifeboat temporarily, only for it to drift away, leaving them stranded at sea. Interestingly, when investigators opened the cargo barrels later, 9 were empty, suggesting some might have leaked. 5. The Bermuda Triangle, later theory. In the 20th century, conspiracy lovers began connecting the Mary Celeste to the Bermuda Triangle, even though the ship wasn't found anywhere near it. They claimed supernatural forces or alien abduction, classic tabloid stories that fueled pop culture for decades.
The aftermath. After the discovery, the Mary Celeste was towed to Gibraltar, where an investigation began. The British authorities were suspicious. They thought maybe insurance fraud was involved, but there was no evidence of foul play. The crew of the Dei Gratia received only a small salvage reward, far less than usual, because the case seemed mysterious and questionable. The Mary Celeste was later sold and continued sailing under various owners, but she seemed cursed. Every captain who commanded her afterward met with misfortune, from shipwrecks to financial ruin. In 1885, her final owner deliberately ran her aground off the coast of Haiti in a failed insurance scam. That's where the legendary ship met her end, rotting under the tropical sun. A fittingly eerie fate for such a mysterious vessel. The legacy. The story of the Mary Celeste has lived on for more than a century and a half. It's been featured in countless books, documentaries, and movies. Even Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, wrote a fictionalized story about it in 1884, which made the mystery world famous. Today, historians still debate what truly happened. The alcohol vapor theory remains the most accepted explanation, but there's no definitive proof. The truth may have vanished with Captain Briggs and his crew somewhere in the cold Atlantic. Why it still haunts us. There's something deeply unsettling about a ship adrift, a floating ghost, perfectly preserved yet abandoned by every soul aboard. The Mary Celeste reminds us how fragile human life is against the vastness of the ocean, how quickly routine can turn to terror, and how some mysteries are destined never to be solved. Even now, when sailors cross the Atlantic, they sometimes whisper stories about a phantom brigantine gliding silently through the mist, her deck empty, her sails full of ghostly wind, forever searching for a crew long lost to the sea. Waves. The Mary Celeste remains not just the mystery of history, but a mirror of humanity's greatest fear, the unknown. And perhaps that's why her legend still drifts, haunting the waves of time.